recording. There we go. So I'm placing my hands on my heart and taking that deep breath of love and gratitude. So grateful for this opportunity to come together to be the two or more gathered in the name and the nature of love. Grateful for this moment to rest in our heart space. To know that peace can be found there at any given moment. To know that that is where all answers that we appear to be searching for lie. We're grateful to have our hearts and minds open so that we can hear the guidance from our own hearts, our own higher Holy Spirit self. We're grateful to call in all of our earthly and heavenly helpers. We ask them to bless all those who are here, all those who will listen later, to bless the technology that we get to use to come together each week. We're grateful to be open to receive the blessings that are ours, the all good of God, to know that we are innocent, whole, and complete, and we need do nothing to deserve all the blessings that are ours to receive. We are worthy because God has said that we are worthy. And we're grateful to share all the blessings we receive and our expanding awareness and the love that we are with everyone, Mother Earth, and all her beings because we are one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be, and so it is. Amen. Here we go. All right, so we're in chapter 21, section 4, the fear to look within. Where to begin? I think what I would actually like to begin with is paragraph 2. Remember that the ego is not alone. Its rule is tempered, and its unknown enemy, whom it cannot even see, it fears. Loudly, the ego tells you not to look inward. For if you do, your eyes will be filled with light on sin, and God will strike you blind. This you believe, and so you do not look. Yet this is not the ego's hidden fear, nor yours who serve it. Loudly indeed the ego claims it is, too loudly and too often. For underneath this constant shout and frantic proclamation, the ego is not certain it is so. Beneath your fear to look within, because of sin, is yet another fear, and one which makes the ego tremble. What if you looked within and saw no sin? This fearful question is the one the ego never asks. And that was the first sentence of paragraph 3. So it's funny because when I read that, all I could think of was, I think it's a Shakespearean line where one of the characters says to the other one, "Methinks thou dost protest too much." Like the ego's like, look over here, look over here, look over here. This is where all the bad stuff that you did is. You look within, you're going to see, oh yeah, there was no bad stuff. I was just learning. Everything's cool. You know, I'm still here with God. Everything's totally cool. So, yeah, I kind of got a chuckle out of that. So thanks for letting me share that. Who else would like to share what they got from our reading this week?
Linda, I just want to follow up on what you said, in that when I read this, and I've heard it before, like, we're not really afraid of the hatred and the anger and the resentments and all the stuff that we think, but it's the fear of that I'm one with God. But it doesn't resonate with me. Like, I don't think I would be afraid of being. I know I do resonate with the thought. Like I have this practice that I do. It's sort of like a breathing meditation practice with a group. There's like about 800 people from all over the world, and the guy takes you really, really deep. And I'm always afraid to go. I'm always like, I notice, I even feel the resistance to going deeper layers because I'm so scared. But I don't, it doesn't resonate with me that I'm scared because I'm afraid I'm going to see innocence there. It actually resonates more because I feel like, yeah, the thoughts of like I was a bad sister growing up. I wasn't there for my brother. So I blame myself for his bipolar and addiction and all this crap we tell ourselves. That's what, and maybe even more stuff that I'm not even aware of. That's what I resonate with, not the idea that somehow underneath that, I'm so afraid I'm going to meet my own innocence, my own godness. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what I've learned, Hamera, is that those thoughts, like the thoughts that I could have done more to prevent my brother from becoming what he is, those are the distracting thoughts, the little circus that goes on over here so that we don't look within. Because the truth is everybody has their own path and we can't change that. So your brother's path is his path. It has nothing to do with your path, except that you're in the same family. And so anything that you do is not going to affect his path, except for loving him. He will feel your love. But that may not change who he is or what his experience is. So that is like sideshow Bob over here trying to get your attention away from, if you do look within and you find out like what, like from my experience and in my example, like the thing that I'm really afraid of is what my responsibilities and commitment will be if I realize that I am truly one with God. Like what am I going to be asked to step into that I feel that I'm not ready for? Like what is my what responsibilities, what time am I going to have to put into being what God created me to be? So that's where my fears and anxieties lie. But I know the like what you're feeling now and what you're experiencing like with your brother, because like what could I have done differently to change my mother's health, um, how loved she felt or not loved she felt? What could I have done differently to, make my husband not have his health issues? What could I have done differently to, keep my son in college so that he would have a better financial situation than he does? Those are all of the sideshow Bob things that are that the ego thought system is using to try and keep my mind occupied so that I'm one with God, and I have I have stuff to do on this planet that I need to get to. So that's the only way I can explain it, if that makes any sense at all.
It does. I think where I get kind of stuck is because psychology, right, says nurture versus nature. And like if the environment's right, if you have the optimal situations for a child to grow up in, and I was a child myself. I was only 2 years older, but when I was a kid, I wasn't the nicest sister. That's the honest truth. And I wasn't available for him. I was mean. I was, so all those things haunt me. And I then think, okay, so then the part of my mind, I guess that's the ego, says, well, if you were able to have had been able to be there, and maybe some of the things that you see now wouldn't happen. And I hear you that you're saying everybody has their path, But then, in the course itself, from the lessons, it says that, all minds are one, that, I'm that my thoughts impact everybody. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to like bring it all together. And I'm on everybody else's kind of lesson today, the review lessons, but the lesson from yesterday, lesson 53 was like, bring it up. Um, so it says, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world. My thoughts are images I have made. But then the next day, it's like, I have no neutral thoughts. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts.
Yeah.
So had I had better thoughts, better
Well,
actions, would it have been different?
no, my sense is, and my experience has been that it's not how I'm feeling about like what impact I had on people around me. My responsibility is to not see them as broken no matter what it looks like. So, I mean, I can do kind of the same thing. I can go back, my sister and I are 3.5 years apart, and I can go back and look at during the time that she was like just entering puberty and would have been really struggling probably with her sexuality because she's a lesbian. I was in the throes of being a teenager that was obsessed with boys and being liked by the popular kids. So I was a complete asshole. I was not focused at all on my poor little sister who was having a crisis as she was entering beginning her sexual maturity and discovering, oh my gosh, all the other girls like boys and I don't. I have no interest in them whatsoever, except to, play in the mud and with GI Joes with them. I was not available for her. Do I feel like that caused her to have any pain or discomfort? Possibly. But do I feel like it would have prevented her from making the decisions that she made, some of them, not so great? No, I don't. I don't. I can express to her how, and I have, how I'm sorry I wasn't there for her at that time, but I was, wrapped up in my own little pre-teenage world. So my job is to just see her as being completely whole, exactly as she is.
And Linda, that's something that I even struggle with today. So I pray a lot. I ask God for guidance and help and miracles, especially in relationship with my brother, because it has been fraught with problems for years now due to his addiction and mental illness. And I was so praying so hard the other day. I was walking, and I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating. I felt like I was being taken by the Holy Spirit to higher and higher levels as I was walking, to the point where I wasn't looking where I was going, and I fell down and I hit my, bruised myself and everything. And of course, like I was like, oh, thanks God, But afterwards, like he came the next day to my mother's home because I was having dinner with my mom, and he was so calm, and I was like, oh my God, a miracle happened. He was calm, he was loving. So the very next day, my family, because my one of my cousin's wives just passed away, was coming here, and we were just kind of being around my uncle who was in grief, and my brother comes over, and he is completely the opposite. He's out of his mind. I don't know if it's because of his bipolar with psychosis. I don't know if it's because he's used drugs. I have no idea. He's screaming, he's attacking, he's talking about my ex, and how he's wired the computers wrong, and paranoia galore. And I lost it. I said to him, I cannot do this anymore with you. I am done. I, even if when mom passes away, I can't do this anymore. And I was in tears. I left and I went for a walk for 3 hours until, he had left. And then of course I hate myself for those actions, but I can't see him as whole when he does actions like that. It's so hard. to
Yeah.
stay in truth. I don't know what to do. I feel so broken myself when I can't do that, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it feels like you did the most loving thing that you could do for both of you. That you were not in a space where you could just hold him as being perfect as he was being, and he was not in a space where he could be loving. So the most loving thing for you to do was to walk away. And there's nothing that you can do that would make you responsible for his behavior.
It's a sigh of relief.
Yeah. You know, there's nothing that I could do to change the fact that my mother wasn't doing anything to help herself physically. And there were times when I had to just walk away. But that doesn't make me bad because I had to do it that way. It just means that I wasn't in a space where I could be strong enough to love her exactly where she was with whatever it was she was doing or not doing.
I guess I have this ideal idea of a holy, connected, centered person would be and do, and just to see the Christ in him in that moment. And I'm not demonstrating that. And it makes me feel like I'm not making any progress.
Yeah, well, I think that there, you know, according to the Bible, there were times when Jesus was freaking out, throwing tables, and, you know, would we have wanted to be around that? Probably not. Probably not. Does that make us wrong or bad? No, it doesn't. It just means that we don't like seeing or dealing with what appears to be chaos.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you
You're
very much.
welcome. You're welcome. Linda and then Phil.
Okay. You know, I'm really thinking about seek not to change the world, seek instead to change my mind about the world. You know, your brother, my brother, you know, I have no power over that. I'm thinking too, Al-Anon, codependency, you know, that sort of stuff. Because on the level of form, that can be very helpful. Coming from a 12-stepper, you know. But then there's the course, you know, context. And it's interesting, Linda, you were reading this section and you read a portion of what caught my eye, as well as in the next paragraph. So I'm going to reread a little bit here on sentence 8 in paragraph 2. So beneath your fear to look within, because of sin is yet another fear, and one which makes the ego tremble. What if you looked within and saw no sin? This fearful question is one the ego never asks. And you who ask it now are threatening the ego's whole defensive system too seriously for it to bother to pretend it is your friend. You know, and I'm thinking about how that really dovetails into the conversation I just witnessed. That, you know, for me, when I start to get closer to the truth of the course, the ego gets very threatened and all kinds of things start to show up that are uniquely useful to my curriculum that are going to trigger me to believe otherwise. So it's called Why Amigo the Ego is at it again to make me afraid, to keep me focused outside of the truth. It clamors because it's threatened. So it's a sign of growth. Honestly, it's not comfortable, but if I can recognize that's what it is. You know, the ego is now suspicious to vicious. It's got everything amped up on steroids. It's all lit up. So, you know, I'm just deeply entrenched into my curriculum at that time. Do I believe this? Do I believe this? And can I, kind of compartmentalize for a second here, and come back home and focus on what's here, not out there. Because out there, this is cause, that is effect. So there's nothing happening that's not supposed to be happening. It's just, what am I going to do with it? So I have choice. I'm not powerless. And I get to grow a little more. But my growth is always coupled with some anxiety and pain and, fear and trepidation and sense of doom and all kind of things. That's when I know, the ego's all amped up. Bottom line, something's happening here. So that's just part of my process anyway. The other thing that caught my eye was paragraph 6, sentence 4. At times it still deceives you, meaning the ego, yet in your saner moments, its ranting strikes no terror in your heart. For you have realized that all the gifts that would withdraw from you and rage at your presumptuous wish to look within, you do not want. A few remaining trinkets still seem to shine and catch your eye, yet you would not sell heaven to have them. So above all else, I want peace. And it's up to me whether I have it. So,
and Linda, what did you say about the 12 steps perspective? I lost you. I didn't hear what you
said. On the level of form, I'm an alcoholic, right? And I've been in recovery for 26 years now, plus some other 12-step rooms, in Codependence Anonymous or Al-Anon, focus on having a loved one with a substance abuse problem or whatever. So there's a myriad of different 12-step groups, but those two come to mind in particular around your brother. And I'm a fellow traveler. I'm not speaking from, out of lived experience here. So,
yeah, no, he's been in and out of 12 steps. He's not stuck.
It's not for him, it's for you.
I've attended Al-Anon, and I've not through the AA, but just stopped drinking because of the addiction that runs rampant in my family. I haven't drank for 20 years. So yeah, so you think Al-Anon might be helpful?
Yeah, Coda or Al-Anon would be very helpful for you right now, I think, on the level of form. Ultimately, he's whole and innocent. Ultimately, you're whole and innocent. But on the level of form, while we're, seem to be in these bodies and all that sort of thing, those things could be helpful.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. Yeah, because in the Al-Anon, what I got to learn was what were the things that I was addicted to that was contributing to me not having my peace because of my loved one who had the addiction. And it was my responsibility to let go of those things that I was addicted to doing to myself because of that person. So yeah, go for it. I agree. Phil.
Carol had her hand up before me.
Okay, Carol, then Phil, then Nancy Gale.
I just had a couple of things that came to my mind because I think I shared before, I do have a son who, for a long time, was really outside the family in so many ways. And I gave up and I said, I can't do this, God, just like you, Homera. I can't do this roller coaster, this emotional up and down and back and forth. This was my son. He lived here a long time. And so finally, when I asked the question, and I am learning to ask questions, I am learning to, when I ask, I do receive answers. Rather than just discussing with spirit, you know what I mean? I'm learning to frame a question because that's direct and spirit can then answer me. And this answer came loud and clear. And so I began doing a divine experiment for my son. I began seeing him whole, perfect, complete. I began having self-love. Homera, you need to love yourself first. Your brother is your brother and he's your blood and you love him. But this big learning for me in this program has been me first. And my life never was that. It was always everybody else because I'm a mom and I had 3 kids. And I really basically gave up a career in teaching to be home. I was raised where you don't leave your children, you don't farm them out, you don't put them in daycare, you raise them. So I gave up teaching. I mean, I went back to it to some degree, but do you understand what I mean? That's how and so that's what I did. So my life became my family. And I just always was last. And I ended up resenting. I ended up being very angry, but not really understanding why. I had made up stories that everybody else, I was giving and giving and giving. Nobody else was giving to me. And that's not true. But I told myself, I believed in that stuff that I told myself. So self-love is big. Take care of you. If you don't take care of you, seriously take care of you, you cannot help your brother. You truly can't help anybody. And then hold him every day. I did this divine experiment for over a year. Every day I'd see him happy, making a good living, living in a home he loves, having a significant other to share his life. And do you want to know what? He has that life today. It was over a year for him. It is the most amazing miracle I've ever witnessed. Jennifer knows about it because she was with me 4 years ago when I went on retreat with her and cried through the whole retreat because of this child, because I did not know what to do. I did not know how to help him. And so she's been that path with me. But this is all I could do for him. That was the answer I got when I said, I can't do this anymore. I'm not young. I can't, it's going to bury me. I mean, if I don't just, something doesn't give here, it's not going to work. So that is just the 2 things I would just tell you to do there. They're simple, not easy. Love you first. Self-care, however that looks, whatever spirit tells you to do in terms of that on a daily basis, you do that because that's who you can control. You can control you, your life, your thoughts, your attitudes, your relationships. And then you hold your brother in the highest light, seeing him in the way that you desire his life to be, the highest and best you can see for him, you hold that for him every single day, no matter what. That's a commitment. And God will not disappoint. I'm seriously trusting that that will be true for you. If it's true for me, it's true for you. There are no differences. So,
Thank you
so
so
I
much.
think just some practical stuff to help because I got to the end of it. I did. I got to the end of my rope with it.
Yeah.
And
Thank you so
so
much.
you're so welcome. And I'll pray for you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Carol. So Phil, then Nancy Gale, then I think Robin too wants to share.
Thanks, Carol, and thanks everyone. And I think Carol did the better job than what, because my message was the similar one, and Carol did very well. And only thing that I really what came up, I was grateful, really filled with gratitude for Homera for bringing this up, because it's not just for you, it is for all of us, and definitely for myself. And even as you were sharing, Homera, one thing that came up for me was like, you know, how much self compassion do I need to feel for myself? I can hold the other in compassion. How much of that am I giving it to myself? And unless I have it, I can give it to no one, because that's where it really makes you feel like you had it. You're burnt out because you're giving something that you don't have, and then you feel exhausted. And when I say when you don't have, it is, I'm talking to myself, don't feel that I'm preaching, okay? Because I feel that if I'm depending on myself from my ego, of course, then I'm trying to give something that I don't really connect with my divine self, and seeing that I'm already given it, I already have it, and seeing myself also not as broken. No matter what is happening to me, no matter how badly I have done anything, I'm not broken, because I came from this source that is not broken, the source that is unconditionally loving. And that's all who we are. We are not broken. And it's not that we don't have the self compassion. We do, as long as we connect with that unconditional love. And this line, the very first line where it started, this made a lot of sense to me. It said, the Holy Spirit will never teach you that you are sinful. And Holy Spirit will never tell us that we are broken. We are always told that we are whole, perfect. And the more we see that wholeness and that compassion in ourselves, we don't even have to do anything to your brother or anybody else. That's what it's going to show. We don't have to try it, and we don't have to, and that was also then makes sense to me. Even no matter if he behaves badly, with all that you hold for him, and if he behaves the other way, or how he has been behaving, you know, we can still hold the compassion. I know it is easy for me to say, but the more we practice, and then more we are connected with our divinity, the divine is doing it. We are not doing it. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Oh,
Hope
thank
it
you,
helps.
Phil. Yes, thank you so very much.
Thank you, Phil. Nancy Gal.
Thank you, Phil. I agree with forget who else. Thank Homera, thank you for starting this conversation. I'm in tears almost. Phil, you just read the sentence, the very first sentence. The one, it's like the Holy Spirit will never teach you that you are sinful, that you're a mistake, that there's something wrong with you, that you're, and that was the lesson that I got from when at 2.5 years old, my brother had been born, and we lived in this tiny little apartment. And for some reason, all I remember is that day, for some reason, I had never seen him. And all I wanted to do, here's 2.5-year old little kid. I wanted to see my brother. And I couldn't understand why. I still don't understand to this day why He had this great desire. So I went in the kitchen. My mother and father were in the kitchen standing in the sink. So I just tugged on my father's trousers a couple of times. So, he could take me in. It's just around the corner they were in the kitchen in the dining room. That's where my brother was in a corner in a bassinet. And so finally he said to me, he took my hand and he removed it and he said, can't you see can't you see she's angry? Like a 2.5-year-old, like he's talking to me like an adult, right? And he turns me around and he pushes me away. And so I said, okay, fine. So this little kid that still wants to see her brother, walks around the corner and back over into the corner, around the door, through the door and into the dining room, into the corner I had a little raggedy and I was just, so I get to the bassinet and now I'm this little kid in the bassinet, like it's like, and I can't see. So I put my hands on to pull myself up. And just as I get, I dump the whole thing over. So he's like, I'm on the floor screaming because there's all these blankets on top of me and he's on top of the blankets. And so I'm suffocating and he's crying. And it's like, so my mother is in the other room. My father comes in and he pulls me out and picks me up. After my mother had picked my brother up and gone in the other room. He's still crying, but I hear him, getting less and less. And my mother she screams from the other room, don't pick her up. Don't even touch her. She's bad. So he takes me, turns around, takes me in the bedroom, puts me in the crib and backs away with this. So I'm still crying, right? And with a shame, look at the shame on his face. And he's looking at me, backing away and turned around and left me there. And it's like, but what I remember is the minute I had, got to the edge, looked over, he was facing the other way. He was looking he was all dressed in white. And he was looking at the wall. So I never did see his face. And so the first thing that when you Homer, which then the thoughts came to me when you were talking, Homer, it was responsibility. And when Linda was talking about Coda, Al-Anon and Coda, and it was like my therapist sent me to Coda. Codependence Anonymous, which is everybody is related and they're all intertwined and everybody's doing this and this in response and reaction to everybody else. And all these behaviors, you're one person triggers the other people and then all that garbage. But it was always about, it's not, you weren't responsible. You didn't cause it. You can't cure it. You can't control it. I think there's 4 C's. I can't remember the other one. But 2.5, it's like, I'm sorry, I'm screaming here, but it's like this for my entire life. I'm 78. And it's just recently, it's like I read that verse, the Holy Spirit will never teach you or say to you that you're sinful, bad, mistake, or anything. He will correct your errors, but that doesn't make anybody afraid. I mean, it's like and I'm sitting here, my best friend is, in this cancer thing and the roller coaster thing with that. And I'm here, it's like, anyways, it's like, I think I felt responsible for the whole world. So it's like, so my mother's anger was so important and blah, 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 and all this. And then it's like throughout my life, those, growing up years, every time my brother had a problem was because I dumped him out. He had trouble learning to read. He screamed the whole first week. He was in kindergarten. I was, in our school, you start at the bottom and then you go up to the next floor. And the way he started, it's like the whole school could hear him crying. And it was like, but time he had a problem, it was because I dumped him out. I broke him or something. So my responsibility was to fix the whole world so my mother wouldn't be angry so she could love me. To this day, it was this. It's not your responsibility, Yomira. And it's like, I'm just telling you, you don't have to live entire life. Like what Carol said, everything she said, and what Phil, it's like everybody's told you. It's like self-care. If you don't have, it's the course says, one of the lessons it says, if you don't, you can't give what you don't have. And if you don't have love for yourself, how can you give? If you don't have love for yourself, starts with you. It's like a present. You know, if you can't give somebody the present if you aren't holding it. So these are all these things. And thank you, Carol. I'm going to stop now because I'm going to go on forever. But this is like a marvelous miracle. And I understand miracles to be forgiveness, letting all of that crap go. I'm sorry, I've never used this language. I was forbidden to use any of this language my whole life. And the other day, was it
Go for it, Nancy Gail.
I was in this. It was this. I just had this. A whole. This is the second day now. The third day. It's like this. I'm calling, I don't know what it's an enlightenment, this revelation, I was in this love. That's a presence. It's like the presence. I couldn't explain it. Oh, I wrote it in the chat. In one of the chats. I forget which one I put it in. So it's there. It felt like a presence. It's all day. I think it was Sundays. And it was just like, that was the world, whole world. I was enveloped in this love, this presence. And it was just like I could touch it. And it stayed with me all day, all night. Yesterday, same thing. My daughter, and it's like, oh my gosh. And so I've been waiting for this all my life. It's like, I don't know. But it's like, this is like one of the, how they say you have these types of experiences, you can't explain it to somebody else. You can't give that to somebody else. It's, you can't put it into words. That's what's happening to me right now. And it's like, even with David, it was like, oh, why am I not upset? It's like, he's dying, right? It's like, I should be, all this stuff. And it's like, but I'm not. And it's like, is this what the course is leading me and been leading to me all these years? This is, I am on, it's like floating. It's like, I don't know, but it's awesome. And I pray this for all of you. And it's like my prayers, like I do every night. And it's like, I read everything I read in here. It's like I read we. I'm included in the we.
That's right.
And so is everybody else, because we're all one. So I think I'm preaching. But anyways, I'm going to stop. I know some.
I love you, Nancy Gail. We love you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy Gail.
This is a wonderful, wonderful. We have the love. This group, a power of prayer. Go and look in the chat, and it's all there. I'm going to stop. So, okay. Somebody else talk.
So beautiful to watch your awakening. It's so beautiful. Robin and then Heidi.
Well, Linda, I don't think I raised my hand.
Oh. I just call on you randomly every once in a while just to make sure that you get your voice heard, I guess.
I'm in this place of not being able to share. I think desiring to go deeper and be able to truly speak from some deeper space. But well, number one, I read the session this morning, and the title just, I was like, boy, I'm not going to like this. And yet I found it to be really beautiful. And I guess I can just share and thank you all. And Nancy Gale, anyone who really brings up things that they have to dive deep into share is always so inspiring and moving, and such a model for me. I don't do so well. I have in the past. I've kind of gotten tired of telling my story. And I'm like, do I have to keep going over this? But just in thinking about the only responsibility I think we have to take is the responsibility to choose love and not to take care of the other, which we so desperately want to do. I don't want to be just using platitudes, but one of the things that helps me, or a tool, is that little phrase where it's like, we only have one problem, and that is we are separate from God. Listen, I was reading and I can't find my book. I mean, it's crazy. I have a small house. I'm walking around in circles. My husband's trying to, I said, I'm just going to class. There's no book. But on the last page of this, that very sentence, that the quiet way, and you all have got, and so the other thing is I only share the same thing over again, because in the last year and a half or 2 years, the word quiet and all those words that kind of silence and being still have kind of been the forefront of my practice or practicing. And so I know that when these triggers of I'm bad and wrong come up, I more and more take that breath of love and gratitude and calm myself. For me, it's like the aim is to get quiet and as still as I can and think only thoughts of God, switch off those negative thoughts and false beliefs. And so this has been such see, I'm not eloquent at all. I mean, it's just been unspeakable as far as trying to express how well that works. And yet I won't do it all the time. I'll still go down into the muck. So I say, you can't keep telling people to do this when you're not doing it. So there's that. There was a thought. Oh, the past is one of the greatest downfalls for me. And I know that when I begin dwelling on the past, I have gone off. And my desire now is to get calm and to get quiet and to center, and then change those thoughts, whether it's a little mantra, all the little phrases that we have it, and to know that it is about loving myself and healing myself, because when I heal, then that other can heal. And so it is important. And that's really been, self-love is like for everyone, it's so hard and the last thing, but I know that to be true, and that in my healing, maybe there's a chance, not that there's a chance that there's healing for others, especially in our family. And so here lately, that being calm and going into stillness, there's this desire to live in meditation. And this past year, that was my goal. Like, I really want to know how to meditate. And even though I sit quietly and I read and I pray, when it comes to really getting quiet in that practice, I've been like 5 minutes and I'm done. And so this past year or last year, meditation started coming to me from different places. And then I've been taking the class in meditation, and I can actually go to that place that is this energy that is palpable, and it is so sweet. And sometimes I can get into it and even notice the egos over here fussing around, and I still feel the energy, and it's like so exquisite. And so I'm trying to end this. It's not my desire to learn how to meditate or find that stillness within me. That's not the aim. The goal is to live that. That in learning to meditation, why it seems to be so important to a lot of people in the world is so that you can have your eyes open and live in that meditation. And that's what I'm practicing now. And this whole idea of seeing each brother, not our siblings, but the brotherhood, opening my eyes and seeing that of going beneath and behind and letting go of the appearance of what is in front of me in form, and practicing seeing the Christ within as much as I can. And there's an ending thought here, people. Thank you. I'm always saying I'm sorry, and I'm learning how to just not do that. Well, just letting go of the past as best we can, knowing that we can make that choice. That's what the pause is about. And there seemed to be something significant. And if it comes forth, I'll raise my hand. Anyway, thank you for calling on me, Linda.
Thank you, Robin. You know, I automatically thought you were going to raise your hand today because, I mean, it was the last sentence of the section where he says the quiet way is open, follow it happily, and question not what must be so. And it immediately made me think of you. So I was just like, well, Robin's certainly going to talk today.
Well, listen, you've just brought back the thought that I would say to all of us, but to Almira, is that it came in and it's leaving again, in that, like, meet yourself where you are. And you said you're not, we all say we're not growing. And I will tell you, you will see the measure of your growth when you don't get pissed off with your brother and speak it. But you've got to practice. I mean, it's just like Carol says, and all of us, we have to practice. And one day you're going to be like, you're going to see how spiritually mature you are. You really are, but you will feel it and know it because you're showing up. And so just know that being here today and all of us meeting ourselves where we are, that beautiful, like, I'm having a decision to make, and it's really a heart-wrenching one. And I might just have to be very gentle and meet myself where I am and go with that. And it will be enough.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Yeah.
That was so lovely.
Heidi, and then Leslie, you can bring us home. We'll close out after that. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to say I'm so grateful that I showed up today. I read it one time and I was like, what the bleep? It just did not. And I know I have to read it several times. I'm like, couldn't they have written this better so I can understand this? But I've gotten so much out of today from you all that I'm so glad I came, because I initially was starting out, Homero, with what you were saying. I was like, I don't get this but thanks to your clarification, Linda, I think what I'm getting is that the feelings of guilt is the sideshow Bob. And that's just one layer of it. And that's like the surface layer. But man, can I get trapped there, and never go deeper beyond that. So thank you. I'm going to think of that as the guilt as being a sideshow Bob. But after I did read the chapter and I was like, okay, what did that mean? So I just wrote down a few things on how I interpreted it. Is that the ego's fear is to realize that we are all the same in our innocence. And so if I think of someone who I'm judging, whoever that is, and I think of them as the day they were born, there's never been a picture of a baby that I can't look at and be like, that baby's innocence. And if I can hold that image in that person sometimes, that helps me get that clarity of we're all born innocent and holy. And the ego would have us all think we're separate, alone, and different. And in our differences, we really are all the same because we're all part of that oneness, that interconnectedness of nature, of life, of spirit. And then, I got a lot of other things out of today from everyone sharing. So thank you all so much. It's a pleasure to be here and witness and see all these miracles happening. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Go ahead,
Well, hello, everyone. Today has been just awesome. I really appreciate everyone's shares. And when I first raised my hand, basically Robin had covered what I was going to say. So thank you, Robin. And I was just going to reread paragraph 8, starting at sentence 3. Little child, innocent of sin, follow in gladness the way to certainty. Be not held back by fear's insane insistence that sureness lies in doubt. This has no meaning. What matters it to you how loudly it is proclaimed? Meaning that who cares how loud the ego screams? The senseless is not made more meaningful by reputation and by clamor. And I agree with you, Linda. I totally thought Robin would be sharing because I thought of her when I read this. The quiet way is open. Follow it happily and question not what must be so. I just thought that was such a beautiful ending to the chapter. The other thing I wanted to say is, you all know what the best part of the past is. Every one of us, we all have a past. And the best thing about it, I know you guys have all heard this. You got it, Franca. It's over. The past is over. We only have right this very minute. And I love that. And I love what you said, Heidi, about the little baby, because that helps me too. Because I think, Amira, when you think of your brother and how he should be whole and perfect in your eyes, and what does that look like? Having, if he's successful and calm and loving and he enhances the family life. And I think when we see somebody as whole, it's in the spiritual sense, right? It's not in the form necessarily. And that's why if I can think of that little baby and that the face of Christ, and that is truly their spirit, that helps me and it is not easy when your ego's involved and you just want them to shut up already and you do just want to leave the room. I mean, it's rough.
Leslie,
but it can be a helpful tool to think of it that way. And I'm sure all of us that have been through Masterful Living and the forgiveness letters, and I don't know, Nancy Gail, if you've had an opportunity to do any forgiveness letters, not just on your mom and dad, for that sweet, precious 2.5-year-old baby girl that just wanted to see her little brother's face. Forgiveness for your mom and dad and yourself for taking on that unneeded responsibility. You were just a little girl and your parents were just in fear. There's fear or love, and at that moment was pure fear on their part. And you, being the innocent child, took that on yourself. And I'm so grateful and happy for you that you are shedding that unneeded burden. Yeah. And Robin, the best way I like to end my conversation, and I've done this when I've been public, when I've had to do public speaking before, That's it. I'm done.
Leslie,
Go ahead, Heidi.
that just triggered something in me. How I even judge babies. If they're crying, that's not okay. That is okay. Just as, and that's how we are even as humans. We might be having a meltdown fit. It's okay. Like that I judge someone's emotion or crying as good or bad or wrong. It's all part of the innocence. I just got that too. Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, I've actually given clients that I have been counseling homework to pull out pictures of themselves as babies or little children and pictures of other people that are in their lives that they're having challenges with as babies or little children, and like tack them on your refrigerator, tack them somewhere where you're going to see them over and over again, on your bathroom mirror. So every time you see those pictures, you can just hold those innocent little kids in love. It works. It works. It seems silly, and sometimes it can be a challenge to do it at first, especially with your own self, but it works. It works.
I think it'd be fun if we all post a picture of our little baby innocent selves in this group.
That'd be cool. Yeah, we can put it in our WhatsApp or Facebook group.
Is there a Facebook group?
Yeah.
For this?
Yep. I think you're in there.
I am?
I'll make sure.
Okay.
I don't know about a Facebook group for this. No?
Yeah.
I don't either. I
I'll
don't do
make sure you
Facebook. So.
all are in there.
So what do we look for? I mean, is there I don't know Facebook stuff.
Well,
how do I find it?
Do you wait, Linda, do you mean the Facebook messenger group?
Yeah.
Okay, not on Facebook. So it's
yeah,
it's
no,
actually
I don't have a regular Facebook group for just this.
Right.
Okay. I wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah,
Yes,
sorry about that.
I am in the Facebook messenger group. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Me too. And so are you, Nancy Gail. So just post a little picture of you as that 2.5 baby girl on Messenger, just like
because
you,
Facebook Messenger is a separate app. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have to. Okay, Messenger. All right.
You've done it before. You've put a message on there.
Yeah,
I did.
Yep, we'll all get there. And who knows, maybe I'll make a group for us.
I like the WhatsApp. The WhatsApp. I mean, that's my life. But that is so easy.
Yep, just do that. Not a problem. Wherever you post it is fine.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have a WhatsApp for this group?
Yep.
Yes.
I thought that's what you were talking about, Amanda. That's all
I was talking about Facebook Messenger, because we also have a Facebook Messenger. Don't we? I feel really old right now. Okay.
We have a Facebook Messenger and we have a WhatsApp group.
Okay. Well, let's use the WhatsApp. Okay. I like WhatsApp too.
Yeah, me too.
Love you guys. I gotta go. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Leslie. Thank you.
So next week we're staying in chapter 21. We're going to do section 5, the function of reason.
That should be good.
At the end of this, just, oh my, makes me laugh. It's Sideshow Bob.
Logic.
Okay, so I'm going to read from, at the end here, from my Pathways of Light Insights to lesson 54, which is a review of lessons 16 through 20. A central idea in this review to me is the power of thought. All thoughts have effects, and the entire world I see is the effect of my thoughts. Life is thought. It's also worth noting that there are 2 levels of thought. One is nothing, and the other is everything. Thoughts of separation cannot be real and thus are nothing. But thoughts of separation can be shared. And although they share nothing, the effect is to make the entire world think we see. But for these thoughts of separation to manifest, the lesson is saying thoughts of separation must be shared. Even the mad idea of separation had to be shared before it could form the basis of the world I see. Yet that sharing was a sharing of nothing. The world is certainly a grand demonstration that there is no such thing as idle thoughts. Although thoughts of separation seem to have manifested an incredibly complex world, it is really nothing. This seems hard to believe only because we believe our identity is defined by this world. This world is the result of trying to create ourselves. Gratefully, this world of fear, pain, and suffering is not real, even though we experience it as it is. The real thoughts that we share with God, the thoughts of love's extension, can be exchanged for this world of separation simply by choosing to recognize our true identity, our identity as love. This is what I want to teach today in my thoughts and in my doing. I ask the Holy Spirit's help to guide my vision, to see love in all things, and to offer only love, no matter what the appearance may be in form. This lesson tells me that as I do this, all minds are taught the lesson of love, including my own. Today, I move closer to recognizing that my mind is a part of God's along with everyone, and we are very holy, for we are one in God. Let me carry this message in my heart today. What stands out to me as I read this review lesson is, as I let my errors in thinking be corrected. Because life is thought and all thought has effects, the most important thing I can do is to pay attention to my thoughts. What am I making real? What am I extending to others? My thoughts create the world I experience. If I am not at peace, it is because of my thoughts. My one responsibility as I live this so-called life is to pay attention to my thoughts and let all my errors in thinking be corrected. Because minds are joined, as I let my thoughts be corrected, I am doing this for the sonship. All power lies in thought. In reality, I have no other goal than to let my mind be corrected. All other goals are meaningless. The power of God is in my mind. As I let myself accept it, I see that there are no problems that cannot be remedied by a change of mind or a change in thinking. The false ideas of separation do not belong in my mind, and I do not need to hold on to them. They only bring images of constant change, the need to defend and lack of love. I practice paying attention to the power of my thoughts. Today, I practice letting all my errors in thinking be healed. Today, I decide to accept the love that I am and reflect the love that I am. As I let my mind be healed, because there are no private thoughts, I affect every mind. I am so grateful for all the help I have in letting my mind be healed today. One thing that stands out for me is the line in review lesson 16 that says, as I let my errors be corrected. If I let my ego have its way, it starts trying to do the corrections. Then I find myself bogged down in confusion and a sense of futility. So I quit trying. And I guess this is the ego's goal all along. Sideshow Bob. Another line that caught my attention this morning was in review lesson 20. I would look upon the witnesses that show me the thinking of the world has been changed. Even my ego cannot pretend that I haven't changed a lot since I started doing the course, but it can't avoid looking at those happy changes by concentrating on the stuff I haven't given up yet. When that happens, I become depressed, frightened, and often guilty. I appreciate the reminder that there is much for me to rejoice in, and I am free to look at that if I choose. It's my choice.
Thanks, Linda.
Thank you,
Bye,
Carol.
Thank you,
everybody.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda.
Love you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
See you
Yeah,
next
thanks,
week.
everybody.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Linda.
you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
Tracy.
you. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Hey,
Bye-bye.
Linda, should we look for the WhatsApp group or is it a matter of being invited? I don't recall how that works.
I think you're in there, but I'll double check, Dawn.
Okay.
And
Thank you so
Linda,
much.
You're
I've
welcome.
never heard of the messenger thing.
Well, you're not on Facebook.
That's right.